Hello, welcome back to Becoming Her, a weekly personal growth update that I, Clarissa, the CEO and founder of She Rocks at College, have been doing since October 11th was the first day that I decided that I was going to do these weekly updates. And it's always leaves me in just complete awe what can change, what you can work through, what you can discover about yourself and your patterns and things like that when you actually sit down and do the work. And so this is Becoming Her, the repatterning process. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So I spent this weekend with my family. I've actually been trying to spend a lot of time just being present with mothering and being a wife and with the clients and the students that I do have. It's part of the repatterning process that I am taking myself through. And in that, I spent a lot of time this weekend driving my daughter around because she got hand, foot, and mouth illness from her daycare. So she had a fever and we were trying to get her to sleep, and I was driving around a lot. And what I decided to do during the many hours that I spent in my car was rewatch some of the Becoming Her episodes. Actually, I watched every single one because I wanted to see what I had already talked about, where I was mindset-wise, emotionally, my thought process, all of that when I initially started doing this series over a month ago. And it just gave me a lot more clarity on just how much progress it is that I'm making, being able to look back and see sort of what was coming up then and what's coming up now and the next steps that I'm going to take. So again, this series is all about me taking you through the process of actually setting a goal and achieving it. Talking about the emotional stuff that you go through, the decisions that you have to make, just all of everything that you typically don't get to see, because you always just hear about people's before and you hear about their after. You never get to really hear about the messy middle where they're becoming the person who you then eventually look up to and admire and think to yourself, #goals. So for those of you who are just catching this series for the first time, my becoming goal, so the goal that I'm working towards, is earning $100,000 within a 12-month period inside of my coaching business. I have an academic life coaching company called She Rocks at College. Now, my company has made multiple six figures over the course of the 6 years that it has been running. I have not made six figures in a 12-month period, so in a year. And if you are in any way, shape, or form a part of the coaching industry, you have had any sense or taste of it, the way that they can, in the coaching industry, having a six-figure business means that you've made it. This is the defining thing for success. And I have been working towards this goal for 6 years. And I have been defining my success based off of whether or not I have hit that goal or I'm close to hitting that goal. And I have made not hitting that goal mean a lot of things about me over the past, particularly 3 to 4 years. And this year in 2021, I started the work a little bit in 2020, shortly after I had my daughter, but really focusing in on this year and redefining and detaching my identity and my self-worth from this six-figure mark, right? Not letting it mean anything more than what it is, which is just the amount of revenue that I have brought in from my business, because I definitely had my identity wrapped up, my self-worth wrapped up, my self-worth as a business owner wrapped up in hitting this figure, hitting this number, and I made it mean a lot of things. I still have moments where I make it mean a lot of things that it doesn't necessarily mean. I'm attaching the story to it. I am creating a narrative around it. So I'm saying this because I just want you guys to know what I'm working towards. In addition to that, I would love to be able to work with 100 students in a 12-month period. Now, the reason why that number is what it is because to work with me, and my lowest coaching package is about $1,000. And so 100 students would equal $100,000. That's the reason why that number was picked. Again, I'm just giving you background if this is the first video that you're watching. Now, what I want to do right now is I kind of want to recap the things that I've talked about up until this point. So I think this is the 6th episode that I've done a part of this series. I'm doing this every week on Tuesday, just giving you guys updates. And the reason why I want to give you background on what I've talked about up until this point is because this is going to bring me to the thing that I'm focusing on and the thing that I landed on this past week. So this particular episode is called Becoming Her, the Repatterning Process, because I have noticed a pattern. So when the first episode that I filmed, I talked about how my entire life has been about worthiness and me feeling the need to prove myself, to earn my place in the room, to earn love, to earn belonging, all of these things. I have dealt with issues of feeling unworthy, not smart enough. It started with school, feeling like I wasn't smart enough to get into this particular high school, that carrying with me through high school. I also have this narrative, it sometimes creeps up with my relationship with my husband, feeling like, oh, he's settling for me and, I'm not worthy of him. And why would he want to be with me? And all these different stories that come up. My husband is incredible. He's amazing. And I doubt his love often, which is not something that I am super proud of. But I do sometimes feel like, did he really mean to choose me? Like, does he really want to be with me, etc.? And we've been together for 15 years, y'all, and married for 4. We just had our anniversary on November 11th. But this is the stuff that comes up for me. So I've been dealing with this whole worthiness thing for a long time. I've worked through it in regards to my identity of being smart. I took myself through that entire process. If you guys are familiar with my story, the whole reason why my company is what it is was because I failed out of a bio major, was told to my face I wasn't smart enough to succeed in the medical field, and I changed that narrative for myself. I graduated with honors, became a nurse, delivered babies like I wanted to deliver babies, and out of that came this company. Now, I am struggling, and I'm saying struggling because this is a journey that I am on, that I have been on really intentionally for, I would say, the past 2 years, because I, for a long time, felt the way that I described it to my coach was, I feel like a little girl when it comes to my business. When I am in spaces with other women who own businesses, with other women who are different coaches, business coaches, life coaches, sex coaches, like I'm in this world of people, of women who are earning a lot of money as coaches, like in circles with people who are making multiple 6 figures in a month, who are having $1 million weeks, who are earning a lot of money with their businesses. And they come off as super confident and they lead themselves really well, and they have these huge followings. And when they do launches for their different programs, or when they're opening up spots for their one-on-ones, they sell out super quickly. And they have these large cohorts of students enrolling inside of their program. Now I am in this space having conversations with these women, putting myself purposely in these rooms, and what is happening is I'm doubting myself. That's what's happening. I'm comparing myself to them. My worthiness wounds are coming to the surface, and it's causing me, now they're like, it's not being in these spaces. Like, I personally take all of my activations, or I don't like to use the word trigger because I feel like that should be used for people who've actually experienced severe trauma, but I do have these activations in these spaces where I have these thoughts and these emotions and these things coming up, and I'm questioning and doubting, and like just a lot of things are coming up for me, and so my identity right now is wrapped up in earning this particular amount of money. and needing and wanting this particular amount of money so that the money then says, I have made it as a coach. Okay. Now, the reason why this is important is because a few weeks ago in one of these updates, I talked about me feeling a lot of resentment, right? And I talked about me being in relationship with this number, this 100K in a 12-month period. And asking this number in my journaling session what it was like to be in a relationship with me. And what came up was there's a lot of pressure to perform for you. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of expectations of what I need to be, do, and have for you, right? And so this is coming up. And then last week, I talked about how I'm also feeling this sense of being a burden. And like, yeah, that's just the word that I'm going to put. Like me feeling like I'm a burden to my husband. I'm a burden to my family because I have all these desires and I have all these wants. I'm a burden to my clients, right? And it's all coming from like these unspoken expectations. And the unspoken expectations are really coming from this sense of feeling like I'm not worthy to be in this space, in this coaching space. And so I'm needing the money, I'm needing the clients, I'm needing all this external validation in order to feel like I'm qualified and like I belong in this space and I belong in this room. And I'm thinking about this and I'm watching myself, like I'm playing back situations, not to beat myself up, but really from a place of compassion and a place of trying to understand like what's really going on here. And I'm noticing this pattern of I achieve some success and then I go down. And I achieve some success and then I go down. And then I achieve some success and then I go down. And I talked about this in episode 1 about the journey to becoming, which is something that I teach the students that I work with, and how there is this place in the journey of becoming, which is I call the pit of despair. And this place creates a lot of choice for us. And it's a choice to either quit or the choice to persist. And I talked about how I very loosely, unknowingly have been quitting. They've been like these small mini quits. And so what happens when you do these little mini quits in this pit of despair is that you oscillate between, the dream it is that you have, going full in and then quitting. And then you keep starting back over and starting back over and starting back over and starting back over. And you wonder, how come it is that I have not yet achieved the success and fulfillment it is that I want? Well, the reason why I haven't is because I've been doing what I call these little mini quits. And the way that it's showing up for me, the way that these mini quits are showing up for me, I promise this is getting to a point to the patterning thing. But the way that this is coming up for me is I have the ability, I trust myself, okay? So I'm just going to talk about the patterns. I feel like I'm all over the place. Let me take a breath. Okay, so the patterns that I'm noticing are questioning of deservedness, outsourcing my sovereignty, a lack of self-trust, hypervigilance. And what this amounts to for me is I trust myself to achieve success. I trust myself to hit goals. I trust myself enough to make momentum. I know that I'm capable of achieving a lot of things. But the moment that it looks like I'm going to make it, I can't hold the success. So there's a capacity issue there to hold the good. And last week I talked about doing the shadow work around being a burden, right? Feeling like I'm a burden, feeling like the choices that I make cause other people to have to make trade-offs that make their life worse. Now, the flip side to being a burden is actually being a blessing in other people's lives. It's bringing value and being an asset. Now, what I'm noticing is that when I'm actually achieving that, being a blessing in a 3D physical sense, I've sold out my one-on-one practice many times before. I've had 30 plus students enroll into my program before. I've had $15,000 months. I've had $17,000 months. But what happens when I achieve that level of success is that I panic and I freak out and I question the validity of it. In the spaces that I'm in the masterminds that I'm a part of, what I notice is that when the other women are talking about their successes and they're talking about their wins and they're talking about all the things that they've accomplished, there's this sort of course attitude. Of course that would happen to me. Of course I sold out. Of course this many students are inside of my program. Of course this is how much money I make. Of course I'm getting asked to speak in all these different places. Of course I'm getting all these opportunities. They expect the success. They don't question it. They don't doubt it. They don't wonder, why is this happening to me? They fully own that they created those results. That who they were every single day, the way they thought every single day, the way they showed up every single day, the actions that they took every single day, of course it led to them having those results. And so they get more. They're entrusted with more. They continue to grow because they can actually hold that level of success, because their identity is, this is just who I am. This is what I create. Of course, this is what I have in my life. They feel worthy of it. Now, me on the flip side, I don't feel worthy of it. I question why I'm in the room. I question, why would this many students want to work with me? I question when I'm sold out. I question it and I think to myself, I'm not going to be able to recreate this. This was a fluke. It happened by chance, right? So again, we're coming back to this whole worthiness theme and topic. I have a deep disconnection to what I have created. I lack ownership over what I have created. There's like this disassociate, like I can see it. I write it down all of the time. I can see everything that I've walked myself through. I can see everything that I've done. Like I was thinking this morning as I was preparing to do this live stream about how I have everything that up until this point I have desired to have. I'm a mom, a good one at that. I have a business that it is relatively successful. I have 2 college degrees. I have an incredible husband. I have control over my time. I'm getting to be at home during the holidays and the weekends instead of working them like I used to as a registered nurse. I'm working with students that I dreamed of working with for years. I have a successful program. I have students telling me all the time how I have impacted and changed their lives. And yet, I look at those lists of things and it's like I'm disconnected from them. I don't believe that I created it, even though I know I did. Like logically, I understand that it was me that created those things because I am me. But there's a lack of ownership of it. And what I've come to realize in this work that I do with my students and this work that I've done on myself is that the reason why there's that disconnect and that lack of ownership is because my current identity, the current identity I have, doesn't match the identity that could create those things. So even though I have created it, even though I was the one that took the actions, I'm the one that made the decision, my current identity is not that of someone who I believe could achieve those things. That's where the disconnect is. And again, in previous episodes, I talked about how I have this inclination to look for all the evidence for why things aren't working, for where things are going wrong, for how things are going to go wrong. And the reason why I have that inclination is because of the current identity it is that I have. I do not yet believe, I have not yet embodied the identity that I am a multiple six-figure earning academic life coach. It's written on my wall. I have it written clear as day on the other side of the camera screen. But I have not actually embodied that identity yet. So my brain is constantly looking for evidence, because this is what our brains do. It's called confirmation bias. Our brain is constantly going to look for the evidence that reaffirms what we already believe about ourselves, who we already identify as. So of course, I'm always thinking, no one wants to work with me. Students don't want this. Students don't need this. No one's listening. I'm invisible. No one cares. This isn't going to work. I should just go back to being a nurse. Who did I think I was? Of course, this is failing, right? Of course, I'm having all of these thoughts because those are the thoughts of someone who identifies as not being a successful academic life coach. Lines up perfectly, makes total sense. And of course, that's the only evidence that I'm seeing. So lately, what has been happening is me doing the work that I walk my students through. You guys have to understand that I know how to do identity work. It's the work I did to take myself from failing out of a bio major to graduating with honors. I don't have this much trepidation. I don't have this much self-doubt. I don't have this much lack of self-trust when it comes to being a mom. When it comes to actually being an academic life coach. That piece of it, I never doubt. I'm really freaking good at what I do. But I do not have the identity of a successful business owner. And I feel like a little girl my identity is not one of a CEO. Let me just put it simply like that. I do not believe that I am a CEO. I feel like my current identity is I'm this little girl trying to build this business. Oh, just this little business I have over here that I'm trying to build. Oh, nothing. Oh, it's nothing. And you, like, if you're around me in like physical world, I don't talk about my business to people in my everyday life, like outside of my husband. Not many people know that I do this. I still find myself leading the conversation with, yeah, I'm a registered nurse, instead of saying I own my own business. Like, I just started really owning this in the past 3 months, like in person. This is the issue. This is why I talk so much about self-awareness. This is why I talk so much about doing mindset work. Because it's so important that you understand who you are being. Because that's what you're going to create. So I have in my life the income and the level of students that someone who thinks they're a baby business would have. Because I can't have any other type of result because it doesn't match my current identity. My brain will not allow it to be different because it would go against what I believe that I am and what I can have. That confirmation bias playing in. I cannot have it because it goes directly against who I believe myself to be. It would cause my brain to explode if I had any other results, which is why when I get close to it, right? I talked about when I get close to it, I tank, right? I can't sustain it because I can't have it because I don't believe I'm worthy of it. I don't believe that I'm someone who would have that, who could create that. It's like, oh, people want to work with me. Oh my God, I'm making this much money. Oh, my business, you wanted to have this. Like, I cannot, when I'm there, I cannot hold it. I start like, why? Who? Like, are you sure? Are you sure? You sure you don't want to ask for your money back? Are you sure you want to? Are you sure this is what you want to do? That is the entire energy that I have. And one of the ways that my name is Clarissa, and I am an entrepreneur. Like, even saying that sounds so weird. I can say it to the circles and people that I'm around. I am an entrepreneur. I have been an entrepreneur for the past 6 years. I have made money. Like, I am sustaining myself from the money that I earn from the business that I've created. But my inner, like, my brain has, like, there's a part of me that has not caught up yet. Right? This is what's actually happening. Okay? See, people don't talk about this stuff, but I'm going to take y'all through the entire journey here. Okay? So, this is where I am right now. I'm recognizing this, right? One of the ways that this has shown up for me is this past summer, actually, no, in the summer of 2020, had the most amount of money that I've ever had in my business bank account. Okay? I couldn't hold it. So one of the ways that this comes up for me is the moment I start earning money, the moment I sell out my one-on-one practice, the moment I have the biggest amount of students that I've ever had in my program, and this happened in August, September of 2020, so last year. I gave it all away. That's what I did with the money. I hired coaches. I invested in courses. I spent all of the money in people who I thought could hold it better than I could. I'm going to hire this person because they're going to teach me how to keep it. I'm going to hire this person because they're going to teach me how to grow it. I'm going to hire this person because they're going to teach me how to sustain it. That was not what I was doing. I couldn't stand having that much money in my account. I couldn't believe that I could have this much money, that I could make this much money in my business, and then I could have this much money in my account. That, of course, I reinvested it and gave it away. Because those other people know what they're doing. They have successful businesses. They're going to tell me what to do and how to earn more and how to giving my power away. Giving it away. What I was communicating to God and the universe is they can be trusted with money, but I can't. So why would I be entrusted with more? Tell me. I wouldn't. God, the universe, whatever you call it, I tend to call it God. He's not going to keep giving me more if every time he does, I doubt why he's doing it. I question everything. I question even like the love my husband has for me sometimes, right? And I talked about this at the beginning of this video. right? So this is the pattern that I'm noticing. Now, the repatterning process, which again is something that I teach to the students that I work with, something that I had walked myself through when I went from failing out of a bio major to graduating with honors. I know how to do this, but with every level, with every new situations that you put yourself in, it's going to cause you to grow and evolve. And sometimes things that we've thought we've healed or like we've worked bubble up to the surface and they look a little bit different. This is new territory for me. So of course, these things are coming up, especially when I declared that I was going full on into the business, which I made that declaration when I had my daughter in March of 2020. The repatterning process looks like step number 1 is self-awareness. I am in a situation right now that I have never been in my business. I am in and have been in the pit of despair, I would say, since about August of this past August. I'm at this place where I'm like, am I going to pick up a per diem position as a nurse again? Am I going to keep going? What am I going to do here? And I'm noticing myself wanting to hire people to tell me what to do. I'm noticing myself wanting to invest in courses because I'm like, maybe I don't know enough. Maybe I'm not making the right decisions. Maybe I'm not marketing myself right. Maybe I'm not positioning myself right. Questioning and doubting, right? It's a pattern of mine. It's actually a trauma response that I have. Because people pleasing can look very different. For me, people pleasing looks like giving away my authority and sort of adopting and handing away my sovereignty to somebody else. It also looks like hypervigilance for me. I'm always waiting for the shoe to drop. And this comes from experiences that I've had as a child. And I talked a little bit about this mother wound in my past episode, right? And I don't need to dive into that. That's not something that like I have to go back and like be there and heal. And I just need to know that it's there and choose where I am going. I am now hyper aware of the pattern to the point, because I was sort of aware of it before, but to the point where like I cannot continue to choose it. Like I'm at the point where like I see it and I'm like, I can't even go down that path anymore because I know exactly where it's going to lead me to. And this is where the repatterning process comes in. Because in order to repattern, in order to create new, in order to change your identity, you have to be aware of who you've been, how you've been thinking, the identity that you've had, the thoughts that you have been practicing for years, the belief systems that you have, how you act from those belief systems, the emotions that you're used to feeling. I'm used to feeling resentment and a lot of frustration, a lot of resentment and a lot of frustration. And it comes from, I'm not feeling resentful towards my students or, the students who watch my channel and haven't worked with me. I'm not resentful towards my husband. I'm not resentful towards mother. I'm resentful towards myself because I have chosen to not trust myself. That's who I'm frustrated with. That's who I'm resentful towards. And now what I am starting to do, the process that I'm starting to do with myself in this area of my life, this CEO identity that I'm trying to build, right, is noticing when I'm frustrated, noticing when I'm starting to feel resentful, and noticing the thoughts that I typically have when I'm not trusting myself and when I can't hold the success. So when I start hearing my brain go, oh, why would they want to work with you? Or you're not going to be able to sustain this. You can't repeat this. This is a fluke. When I hear my brain say, you don't know what you're doing, maybe you should hire someone. Maybe like when I hear my brain talk like that, no one wants to work with me, blah, 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 blah. That is my not self. That's my old identity. I'm not her anymore. So I gotta put up, actually, I bought this crown. Let me show you guys. She sits on my altar, and this is my CEO crown. And so I'm using this as an anchor to remind me of physical product, that when I see it, that when I touch it, that when I put her on, it reminds me of my CEO energy. This is tangled in my hair now. It reminds me of my CEO energy. It reminds me of who I'm becoming. The repatterning process is simple. It really is. It's simple, but it's hard. It's simple, but it's hard. It requires effort, because I've had 6 years of this identity that I'm a baby business owner, that I'm a nurse with this little side hustle, right? And so now that this is crystal clear for me of who I've been, and it makes sense, like it just makes sense that of course I have the results it is that I have. Of course I'm hyper focused on how things aren't working, etc. Because I haven't actually embodied the CEO identity. So I'm getting really crystal clear on who that version of me is. How does she think? How does she behave? Who is she on the good days where everybody's wanting to work with her and she's getting emails left and right and DMs left and right and everybody's commenting on her YouTube channel? Who is she on those days? And also, who is CEO Clarissa on the bad days where the students aren't signing up like she thought, where no one's commenting? Who is she also on those days? Because I have to identify both of those things, because that's how I'm going to lead myself to the success. Because one of the coaches that I have been coached by, her name is Melanie Ann Layer. She is phenomenal. Also had $1 million day. Is currently already for the year of 2021 has made over $20 million in her coaching business. She always says it's up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down on the way up. It's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down on the way up. Up and down, up and down, up and down on the way up. Do not get too attached to the highs, but don't get discouraged by the lows, because it's up and down, up and down, up and down on the way up. Right now in my business, I'm in a down, and it's okay. I've been doing the work on this worthiness stuff for the past year. I started with hiring a confidence coach at the beginning of 2021. I had a one-on-one coach who I had to end our relationship this past month because I couldn't afford to continue to pay her, right? And I'm in a low income-wise, student-wise in my business. And I can choose to make it mean, see, you're not going to hit your goal. See, I told you you weren't cut out. See, I told you nobody wants to work with you. You're not that great. You can't do this. That's the other story, the other pattern that I had, the voice. It tells me the success is for everyone else, but it's not for you. And the other way that it shows up for me is, when is it time to quit? I hear that one a lot. My brain tells me that, like, maybe it's time to quit. Like, maybe this is a sign that my brain tells me that a lot. The pit of despair will have that voice to it. I'm only done and over and like it's not for me when I decide that. As long as I'm still in it, I'm still in it, right? It's up and down, up and down, up and down on the way up. Right now I'm in a down. An up is coming, and I might hit another down, but another up is coming on the way up. Claudia, I see you. Yes, I do follow human design. I have an open heart, so the worthiness thing is strong there. I also have an open root, so the pressure to prove is also there. It's a mess. I'm working through it, right? But I'm doing this identity work. It's really simple, this repatterning process. It's being hyper aware of my emotions, being hyper aware of the not self-talk. So the old version of me, and I know exactly what she sounds like. And I'm frankly so tired of hearing her voice. I'm bored by it at this point. I can't even entertain it anymore. I'm not going to use the word disgusted because I'm not but I'm just like over it. I'm just like, all right, how long are you going to continue to tell me this story? That's kind of the vibe that I have towards her. She's my not self. So I'm noticing my not self-talk. And I am choosing to be CEO Clarissa in those moments where I have the opportunity. So what does it mean to choose her when I have the opportunities? This is an example of it. I have 2 one-on-one spots open for my academic life coaching company. Been promoting it since August. Still have 2 spots open. I did a launch for my group coaching program. My goal was 70 students. I enrolled 3. Me listening to my not self would have been, great, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm not going to send emails about it anymore. I'm just going to go back to nursing because clearly this isn't for me. Clearly nobody wants this. But the truth is not that. The truth is there are students who are waiting, who have been praying for a service like what I offer, for a program like what I offer, for a mentor, a coach like I am. The evidence of that, I've worked with over 400 plus students at this point. The evidence of that, I've had over 122 plus students go through my coaching program. The evidence of that, this is the first time that I have not sold out my one-on-one. But again, when my identity is I'm a baby business owner, I'm not a CEO, I don't see that evidence. I don't count it. I make it, it's like it's a fluke. Oh, that's just a one-time thing that happened and probably won't ever happen again. But the reality is that actually is the truth. The data is telling me very differently than what my net self-talk is telling me. Repatterning is reminding yourself of who you are working on becoming. It's choosing in those moments that seem so small, that identity. That is the work. It's that simple and it's that hard because let me tell you, we get addicted to thoughts and we get addicted to emotions. Frustration feels really good to me. Resentment is delicious to me. I'm comfortable over there. I indulge and bathe in those emotions. They're yummy and delicious to me. Celebrating myself, owning how good I am as a coach, having other people actually praise me for the success and what I've created is very uncomfortable for me. I dodge that stuff. Even in conversations with my students, this is the thing I love to do. And I notice that I do this. I started to notice that I do this is when they tell me how much I've helped them, how much I've supported them. I'm like, oh, no, it wasn't me. You did the work. That was all you. And yes, that's true. They actually did the work, but I helped them. I guided them. I don't even give myself credit for helping the students that I have helped. That's how uncomfortable it is for me. That's the disassociation and the disconnected. So of course, I have the results it is that I have. Y'all, this is the work I do with students. I walk my freaking talk. I am in the trenches. I do the freaking work with you. As long as I'm alive, I'm going to keep growing and evolving. As long as I want more, I'm going to have to keep re-identifying myself. This is what this human experience is. And when you're present with it, it's really fun, actually. Sucks some days, but for the most part, it's really fun and it's exciting to imagine what if and what I could become and all of those types of things. And that's where I am right now. And I'm happy that all these things are coming to the surface. And it's okay that my results are what they are. And it's okay that I still have 2 spots open. And it's okay that I didn't hit my goal. It's fine. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. It's up and down, up and down, up and down on the way up. My success is inevitable. I'm in the process of creating it. These things that I'm telling you are all my mantras. They're all my affirmations. I am brilliance walking. Your life is capable of changing in an instant. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I'm right on time. It is safe to be with myself. I am always the most important person in the room. My story is the most important success story. I am important. I'm already a success. I have something of value to offer. I'm running my best race. I'm willing to love myself through the failures so that I can love myself at my success. It's all freaking working. This is it. I'm in it. I'm creating it. It's happening. I am on my way. This is it. This is what it looks like to be on the path to success. It's happening right now. I am a 6-figure academic life coach, and I am so proud of who I'm becoming. I am in awe of myself. I love the unfolding of the story I get to tell about how I became the life coach for college women. That is who I need to affirm. That is who I need to align with, because that woman, she moves different. She thinks different. She takes different actions. When she experiences failure, she acts very differently. She makes very different decisions. The work is getting super clear on what it is that you desire and who it is that you need to become in order to have it. I've created it. I'm working on having it now. That's where my downfall has been. I thought it was, I don't know how to create it. I don't know how to be a success. I don't know what I'm doing. That's not my problem. It's that I do, and I don't feel worthy of it when I have it. So the identity piece for me is, who is somebody who can have that level of success? Not just create it, because I've done that many times, but who can create it and have it, own it. I need to own it in order to have it. That's the piece that I'm working on. And of course, in these weekly videos, I'm definitely going to be sharing that process with every single one of you. But this is something, the interesting thing is I've been here before. Like, I've had this revelation before. I wasn't ready to do the work. I tell this to my students all the time. Sometimes we're aware of what needs to change and we're not ready to change it. But when we're ready, we're ready. And I don't beat myself up when I'm not ready. I just accept where I am. I'm now at a place where I have been here so many times where I'm ready to let it go and to become who I know myself to be. It's time. So that's where I end today. For those of you who were on with me live, Claudia, Maya, Rose, thank you so much for commenting, for engaging with me. Red Lip Marketing, thank you all so much for being here with me. This Thursday, there'll be a academic life coaching related YouTube video. We go live at 2 p.m. on Thursday, and Tuesdays at 2 p.m. are when I do my personal growth update. But Thursdays at 2 p.m. are for you, the college women, and learning the tools and the strategies to become the student it is that you desire to be. So this Thursday, if I take a look at my calendar, I think we're talking about how to create a study routine. If you are a working non-traditional student, so that's what we'll be talking about on Thursday. I will see you all then. Bye.